Hey everybody, here's our weather recording for the night. It's about 8:30 on Thursday night, December the 9th. We've been kind of trying to keep you up to date on what's going on. Tonight we're going to focus primarily on the threat of severe weather. I'm going to go into great detail on that. We'll talk about what will be another surge of warm air coming up next week. And then those of you who are winter lovers, maybe a little hope for you as we get close to Christmas. I'll end with that. We're going to start, though, by talking about the thing on the screen, which is the weather alert day. We started this back in the early part of this year, and we decided that days in which we thought there was a fairly significant chance of severe weather, which could be a problem damage-wise or something you need to be on the lookout for, we would initiate a weather alert day. We've only done this one other time this year. It was on Friday, June 18th, and we had a lot of severe weather that came through the area, flooding and some wind damage. We feel that a weather alert day is needed for Friday, but not till Friday night. So if you have any plans Friday during the day, you'll be fine. It's Friday night that we're going to focus on. So just so you know, we've kind of issued our weather alert day, but it's primarily now Friday night, early Saturday morning. And here's why. The Storm Prediction Center has placed pretty much all of our viewing area on a fairly low end, what we call slight risk of severe weather. And again, for us, this will be Friday night. You'll notice kind of the brown shaded area in the south. That is what's called an enhanced risk or an elevated risk of severe weather. This is for all kinds of severe weather. Now, we think there could be some hail in the storms, but we think hail is not going to be a major issue. The highest risk for us is going to be straight line wind or some wind damage, and all of our areas pretty much in what we call 15% rating on the possibility of wind problems. And then we do see that go up in our southern counties where it's an enhanced risk. Now, we also got to talk about the fact that there is a risk maybe of some tornadoes. Much of the area is in a 5% area, but you'll notice the southern area is in a higher risk area, and it's even in what we call the hatched area. That extends all the way down into Mississippi and Arkansas. What that means is there's a little higher risk of maybe a more significant tornado, stronger tornadoes in that area. The bottom line is we do see a risk for Friday night, and we see the risk of some wind and potentially tornadoes near this area. So this is something that we need to focus on, and that's why we're doing these videos to kind of keep you up to date. I'm going to show you a couple things on the timing because the timing is important. We don't expect anything during the overnight tonight or during the day Friday really until later in the day. And I'll stop this for you around 3 or 4 o'clock Eastern time. This is the warm front coming in. This will initiate a first round of some showers, maybe a few thunderstorms. We don't expect trouble with that. Then we get into the warm sector, and this is when we expect most of our trouble. And notice the time, it's kind of an unusual time, pushing midnight Eastern time. Showers and storms moving in, some of these will be heavy. Those will continue into, say, 1 o'clock in the morning, eventually kind of exiting the area, but not until maybe 4 to 6 a.m. when these start to move out. So this will be an overnight event when it is dark and a lot of people are sleeping. And then after that Saturday, we don't have anything to worry about other than it's going to be windy and it will be getting colder. I wanted to show you the dew points. Dew points are coming up right now. They will peak tomorrow night, Friday night, say around midnight or so, 60 to low 60s. That's a lot of energy in the atmosphere. And then watch how rapidly these dew points will decline as we get into Saturday. So the rapidly moving down dew points indicate drier, colder air moving in. So the highest dew points will be when we see the greatest risk of severe weather, which we think will probably be between, say, 10 p.m. and about 4 to 5 a.m. on Saturday morning, probably centered around more midnight to about 4 a.m. This storm will have a snow element to it, where there will be a lot of snow and wind, but it will not be here. It will be northwest of this area where they do have the winter storm warnings in effect. We're going to show you the NAM model that I just pulled up here on the timing on this. And again, this is a Friday in the afternoon with the warm front coming in. This is at around midnight. We start to see the showers and storms increasing. This is about 2 a.m. Eastern. You start to see a little line of storms forming in the area. Kind of backs up that other model I showed you. And this is around 5 a.m. So we could have these storms deep into the overnight hours. By 7 a.m., the chances are pretty much over. The front's clearing the area, and any threat of stronger storms should be over. This is what we call the CAPE, or it's basically energy available. And these numbers are up some from what we had yesterday. This is projected around 1 a.m. Saturday morning. This is at around, say, about 2 a.m. Those numbers are plenty high enough to supply these storms with a lot of energy. This is about 3 a.m. So again, these storms will keep going during the overnight, which is unusual. Usually storms die at night, but these should keep going. And by around 5 o'clock in the morning, the energy is starting to leave the area and our storm threat should diminish. This is what we call the supercell composite index. Supercells are rotating storms. Storms that rotate have a greater chance of producing more severe weather. This is around 1 a.m. This is about 2 a.m. and you can kind of see we peak during that time period, and then we really diminish by 4 a.m. So again, center on the midnight hour, give or take a couple hours, probably going to be the peak time for the stronger storms. This is called the significant tornado parameter. All this means is where would we have a greater risk maybe to spin up some tornadoes. You'll see at about 1 a.m. the odds are a little bit better farther into southern Illinois. This is around 2 a.m. And, you know, the threat is definitely there across the southern portions of the two-state area. And then by 4 a.m., we kind of start to see that fade away. So again, once we hit 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we ought to see that diminish. This is a map showing what we call the updraft path. In other words, where you may see the rotating storm which may persist for a while. And so some of these storms may be long-lived storms where they may produce severe weather for a path of many miles. And you can see those extend all the way into the northern part of the state. So we'll have to watch. Some of these storms could be fairly long-lived storms where they produce severe weather over a longer period of time. The storm itself is going to have a lot of wind with it. This is projected wind gust at around 9 p.m. Friday night. 40-45 mile per hour winds. This is around 1 a.m. or midnight. 50 mile per hour winds are possible. And these aren't even in the storm. These are just wind. And then this is around 7 in the morning Saturday when the front goes through. We're still looking at some 40 to almost 50 mile per hour winds. So there will be a lot of wind associated with this. And here's why. These are the wind speeds way up in the atmosphere, and you can see there's a lot of wind here, and we're going to bring this down a little bit. This is now about 5,000 feet off the surface. This is important because not very far up, we've got some strong winds, and these storms can sometimes, we call it mix down these stronger winds to the surface, and some of the strongest winds are right over this area. This is projected again for about midnight to 1 a.m. Saturday morning. This is at around 2 a.m., and we start to see it pushing off to the east and to the southeast a little bit. The storm is going to be strong. This is projected for about 8 in the morning Saturday morning. The low pressure way in the northern part of your screen, we call that millibars, 984 millibars. That's down around 29 inches of mercury. For those of you who have a barometer, that's really low. That's why there's going to be a lot of wind associated with the storm. It's a very powerful storm system, and it will lay down a large amount of snow northwest of here. There may be blizzard conditions actually for a while in parts of Wisconsin, southern Minnesota, but it's not here. We're not talking winter. We're talking the spring elements as it moves through this area. So it's something that we'll be keeping an eye on. And definitely tomorrow night, you'll want to be able to get watches and warnings because we're probably going to be looking at that. Okay, jumping ahead real quick for you. This is next week. It's going to warm right back up. This is we used this last night. This is the heights in the atmosphere. The higher those heights, the greater chance of warm weather. This is next Wednesday. I mean, that's a heat wave for this time of the year right over this area. These are temperature anomalies or departures from normal, and I mean, that is amazing for December, right over the nation's heartland. And here's a closer look at home for next Wednesday, the 15th of December. 20 to 25 degrees above normal. We're talking about really warming up again. And these are the projected high temperatures for next Wednesday. Mid-60s here, 70s in Iowa. This may set the stage for more storms again late next week. We'll have to watch that. But the bottom line is it's going to warm up a lot again towards next Wednesday and next Thursday. Okay, we're going to wrap up for winter lovers. Get ready. Here you go. A lot's going to change between now and then, but I wanted to give you something to look at. This is projected for the evening of December the 20th, 5 days before Christmas. And look at that. Right over this area, we have some snow. Now, wouldn't that be nice if we could get it a few days before Christmas? But would it stay, you may say? Well, remember the map where we had the red, which is the heights were very high, so which is warm? This is projected for Christmas Day. Big change according to this model, where the colder air comes pouring down across this part of the country. So there is some hope for you. And this is that same model, and you can see where it rapidly declines the temperatures. Now, this is going to change a lot between now and Christmas. We got a couple weeks to go. But by looking at this, obviously, it does show a trend towards the colder weather once we get closer to Christmas. So winter lovers, maybe some hope for you there right before Christmas, maybe a change in the pattern. But my main focus is be weather aware on Friday night. I will be here keeping an eye on things for you, keeping you up to date online and on air. We think anytime after 8 p.m. we may start to get some storms, but probably be very much on the lookout between about 10 p.m. and about 4 to 5 a.m. Saturday morning when the storms come through the area. And of course, you can count on us. We'll keep you up to date as we head into Friday night across the valley.